what is persona? So I want to do a quick recap of that. I've also got Carl Jung's psychologische Typen here. He mentions it in there, and also one of Freud's writings. So in the psychological types, well, okay, overall Jung says that the persona is like a mask we present to the world, and it basically hides our personality like a mask does, like, right? Like if our face is our true self, the mask is the persona.
Yeah, so I haven't read the psychological types. I know it's like one of his longer books, right? Like I really want to find
Yeah.
time for it, and a lot of things I'm interested in are in that book. So what I understand is just from like online readings and some videos. Also similar to you, like, social masking, and I think there's also like if someone over identifies with the persona, sometimes they can have like neurosis, and I think that's obviously like a more severe case, but they can start to exhibit symptoms where because they repress their true self too much, they can, like it can come out in less ideal ways where maybe they have some kind of, you know disorder like anxiety, depression, and so on, because it's like somewhere deep inside they know that it's not fulfilling them and it's too far away from what they want to do or how they want to live, but they're not able to like confront it, right? So that's kind of like people who are identified with personas, some of the consequences of that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's true. It actually reminds me a little bit of what Freud said. He also talked about that a bit more. But yeah, I also thought that when we go into Enneagram a little bit,
Hmm.
technically every Enneagram type you could argue is a little bit of a persona in a sense.
Yeah.
But I would say that the types that are the most prone to the identification with persona or being too caught up in it are probably the image types, right? Like 2, 3, and 4. Everyone has a persona, right? That's also what it
Yeah.
says. Yeah, well, the thing is why I think that these types are often the most caught up in the persona a little bit, especially if they're unhealthy, because they overly identify with their image or how people perceive them in a sense, right? Their identity, how it's perceived. Like 3
Yeah.
wants to be perceived as successful, 2 usually as being, the helpful giver, almost perceived as being selfless, and then
Yeah.
4 they want to be perceived as unique, special, one of a kind, that kind of stuff. And if you're too caught up in that, then you're not fully yourself, right? Like if you're too caught up
Yeah.
in this.
Mhm. I can see that with some Enneagram 4 people for sure. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So there was that. Well, also with 3, I think we talked more about that in the previous video we did together on your channel, where we go more into persona. I think with 3, they are too caught up in coming across as successful or cool, and then
Hmm.
they might not even allow themselves to show that they're not that, right? Like they
Yeah.
will hide they're not successful, they will lie about it. That's like the very unhealthy side of it. So that's how it can show up. And in terms of socionics, I also want to briefly mention that. It's called the role function. So in socionics, the role
Oh
function,
yeah.
yeah, I think we also briefly mentioned it in the last video.
Like the super
So
ego, the role function.
yeah, it's like the opposite domain of your first function. So for NI, it's SI. For TE, it's FE. For NE, it's SE. For
Role
NI
function.
first, INFJ, it would be SI.
Oh,
So
okay.
yeah, so the role function
So
can be similar. It's the way how I see it. It's basic. So okay, also it kind of goes hand in hand with the mechanism of the persona, where you feel like you have to hide your true self to some extent. And it's almost like you have to hide your first function in some situations.
so I wonder, like the role function, is that the super ego? Sorry, I haven't been reading up on
Yes.
sociology for a while. Okay, got it. So that's like our default when we want to appeal to social norms, right? Does that mean that?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, got
Yeah.
it. Is anyone's role function NI? I suppose they are.
Yes, for
What type is that?
for people with SI first.
Oh, really? Well, how do they
Yeah,
fake
so,
NI? That's quite hard
so
to
like
do.
ISTJ, ISFJ in MBTI, or SEI, SLI in Socionics.
Okay,
The
that's
the way,
interesting.
the way how I've seen it is, it depends, of course, on the person and how old they are, whatever. But I've noticed
Yeah.
sometimes they suddenly start talking about kind of semi-spiritual things,
Mm-hmm.
but it's not truly going that deep for them, or they're not truly in it emotionally. I also see it overlapping a lot more with SI stuff. I think actually Feng Shui, you know Feng Shui?
Yeah.
I think it's a little like a mix of SI and NI almost.
Yeah,
I
yeah, it
think,
definitely makes.
yeah, so
Yeah.
it's like, oh, how the environment is and how it feels for me and how it's supposed to be arranged and stuff. I could
It's
see it's
almost
like,
like superstition plus spirituality.
right, yeah, so that's like an example. So that's
Oh,
the
okay.
Socionics. But I also
Interesting.
think you can have this with every function, really. Like you
Yeah.
can, like the persona, there's like these systems, right? Socionics, Enneagram, but persona, I think, is also very much based on your upbringing and your culture, right? Like you would agree,
Oh,
like it really
definitely.
depends.
Yeah, because culture, I mean, as I've talked about in my previous video with you, it's like really huge for everybody. It's like people generally are, social animals, even the introverts and the self-preservation types, maybe less so, but everybody's like impacted, right, by the need to belong on a subconscious level also. So, I mean, especially as children, right, we kind of like adapt our personality to survive. So there's like the more your culture demands you to perform, the more you will subconsciously, or you may sometimes, for me it's like omission, right? It's like I try not to because I'm aware, but I would like omit some parts of myself. Like I try not to fake things, but I would not show them some things. So that's also like
Hmm.
a form of persona, right?
Yeah, it is. Yeah. Yeah, also Freud mentioned that, yeah, like you said, I mean, he doesn't call it persona, he called it superego or Über-Ich in German, above self. It's very much based on your upbringing, your parents, your culture.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, let's go into
Yeah.
that next part then. Let's talk more about thoughts, experiences with culture. Also, to have a bit of a dating angle here. What are like the
Okay.
patterns you've seen with like women or men?
Okay. So growing up, my understanding, this may be subjective, okay? Not everybody in my culture may think that way, but my understanding is that the feminine ideal in my culture seems to be very focused on SI and FE, because
Okay.
there is a general belief in gender roles. That's why, SIFE. That's also a general belief in like conformity. Like there is in my culture, my culture is more like STJ culture, but then for women, they prefer them to be more, feeling because gender roles, right? But I don't have the SI. So what do? I omission, right? So sometimes, and sometimes it's not even intentional. Like I do want to showcase more of my introverted intuition, right? But it's just that majority of people I grew up with do not like have interest in introverted intuition, and this is like way before I know anything about MBTI, so it's like organic stuff, right? Like growing up, like I had no idea, I don't know how to vocalize it in a sense. So I think that that's also why I got into MBTI, because it helps to make what I couldn't explain explainable. Because I'm like, why is there a fundamental disconnect between me and my like larger society? Imagine I just like show up with like talking about like absurdism, and like, I mean, people would be like, what is that? I mean, it's just nobody talks about it. So like, just I just have to use a lot more FE, and And it's like SI, I don't even know how I use it, but I think that most people probably think I'm some kind of SFJ if they are my acquaintance, because it's not that I don't want to showcase an I, which I do whenever I have the opportunity, but it's just I did not have that opportunity, right? So the like next best is like SIFE, because at least I can talk to them about some things. What I noticed to be true in my culture is that ESFJs especially are like the feminine ideal. I may have some kind of, I don't know, my relationship with ESFJ is very complicated because of that.
Okay.
Because they are the cultural ideal and I don't want to be them, because I inside, like, I don't feel like I am them at all, and I don't want to, but I think there is almost this like annoyance that, that my culture does this kind of pushing. Like even my mom does it, she's ESTJ, but she pushes the ESFJ ideal on me too. She's like, oh, women should learn to cook and clean, so that it's a very SFJ thing, right? It's like, oh, if you don't do that, the man's not gonna love you, they're not gonna like stay with you. And I'm just like,
yeah, it's like self-preservation with SI both together. Yeah, and also I was saying that my ESFJ grandmother told me the same thing. What you just said with your mom.
my mom is ESTJ and she internalized the same feminine
Yeah.
ideal, and
Yeah.
sometimes they want you to be like very like they non-threatening, so they will tell you like, oh, you cannot be too successful, otherwise the man will be like scared of you. And I'm like, guess what I'm going to do? I mean, I'm not doing that just to be like upsetting them, but
Yeah.
I genuinely want to like be successful on my own terms, right? Yeah, but they are always full of this advice, like SFJ advice. Like it just annoys me to no end,
Yeah, it's also
Don't
just
intimidate men
useless
by being too blunt,
because
blah blah.
it's just useless advice because also I mean, first of all, you're not ESFJ, but also the kinds of guys who are then attracted to you are the wrong ones, right?
Exactly.
Like, you know what I mean? That's the problem.
Exactly.
That's the problem with the persona in dating, that if you internalize these stereotypes too much or these gender roles too much and they don't suit you, then you're going to attract guys who don't suit you, essentially. So
Yes,
there's no
you said
point.
what I wanted to say. Yes.
Yeah.
There was a Cool Swan video about it. She's really good. I like her. I think she might be NI leading also. That's why I keep watching her videos. Teal Swan, I don't know if you know. She does psychology
Yeah.
videos. And she did that. She said like I think she called it like, I forgot the term she got it, but like it's basically a very common relationship pattern where people are both basically faking it, right? Like the guy is trying to present themselves in a way, the woman, and then they end up being incompatible, like you said. Like once they get into a relationship, they're like, oh, like you cannot meet my needs, I cannot meet your needs. Like why were you showing me that you were this other person? And then they both feel duped. I think that's the term she called it. Like, it's like the dupe
Yeah.
complex or whatever. It's like people feel like they are lied to, right? And then they're like, oh, so you don't actually cook like 7 days a week, you only cook like once a month. Like what a lie. It's like,
Yeah.
you're not the feminine goddess that I imagine. And then this other
Yeah.
person's like, oh, you're not the masculine, like, anyway, whatever.
Right.
So it's like they both are lied to.
Yeah, it's quite a problem. It's also somewhat natural in the sense of when people go into the dating stage and they're just talking to someone, it's kind of normal to try to present your best side to attract someone, I guess, right? So I was also thinking about this and how if I was trying to give advice on this, there's also the opposite extreme where people are being too vulnerable, too messy up front, where they have no filter at
I
all.
should not trauma dump on the first date. Yes, I know. I mean, mine is like light trauma dumping, which I put occasionally on my IG stories, which I think is like still able to handle, so it's okay.
Light trauma dumping is funny.
Yeah, but like it has to go somewhere, right? Otherwise, it's just like pent up all the time.
Yeah, but I mean that's also the point. I think also Freud said that, or one of the guys, I think Freud, that we also discussed that in the other video, how you should not try to get rid of the persona entirely because it's part of socialization. And
Yes.
I don't know. I mean, generally it would not be advised to trauma dump on the first date, even if you
I
think,
know.
oh, this is my true self, and you know, so it's a delicate situation because
it's like the
you don't
social
want to go
etiquette,
into
right? You gotta
the
be at least like, somewhat. You cannot just say like, oh my gosh, this person did this to me, that person did that to me, and then now I'm like, you know.
if you have no filter. Often what happens when people trauma dump, there's often like two general scenarios. Either the person just rejects you because it's too much, or both people
Like
trauma dump on
bonding,
each other, and then
like
trauma
bonding, right?
bond, and then it's too intense, too obsessive, and kind of almost toxic. So yeah, what do you think about that?
Yeah, I think, like gradual is good, let it to be gradual. I mean, small things is still okay, I think,
Yeah.
just general topics of maybe like scarred by a work experience or something like, that it's anyways relatable, but I think like if it's too specific, then probably not,
Yeah, it can be a difficult balance, because there's once again these two extremes: people who are oversharing too much of the, intense stuff, and then there's also people who share nothing.
Present themselves as perfect.
Yeah, and I've also I have a friend, and I think in the past she was dating this guy, and she was like, he's not really sharing anything I can connect with. Like he's just like almost like a blank page. That makes sense.
Yeah, that's also not, it's actually very not attractive, because I mean attractive in a long-term sense, because like people want to connect, right? And if there's no like vulnerable side of you, then there's nothing to connect with.
Right. Yeah. So you should not be in either extreme.
Yes.
It doesn't work. Yeah.
Yes. I'm actually curious about your case. I mean, do you think there is a feminine ideal in your society when you were growing up, like a personality type or a few personality types that people expect women to be, on a cultural level?
I think worldwide it seems almost like women being like SF types is a thing. I think it's just a matter of most women being that type, and then it just becomes a norm. So yeah, I think in my society, like in Western culture, yeah, it really depends. Me personally, growing up, I think I got the impression that I had to be more like an SF, and also with my dad specifically because he is ESTJ, I felt like I had to be more like an INFP. So yeah,
Interesting.
but yeah, but I think overall SF is probably the ideal too. But I think in Western society, maybe even ESFP, ISFP is more of an ideal than ESFJ, ISFJ in Western culture.
Yeah.
I think it has changed a bit, or maybe it
Yes.
has been like this for a while actually, where it's a
Yeah.
lot
I think
about
ISFP maybe, right? I don't know. I never grew up in the Western society, so cannot really comment much.
yeah. I think I also got the impression. I think you're pretty spot on with Asian culture. It's more like ISFJ, ESFJ, like a lot of FE, like also being super expressive all the time. I see that with like Japanese media, right? Like
Yeah, it's a
you
little
know,
bit too much. Yeah, what is that even? I don't even know what personality
with
type
a
is
high
that.
pitched voice. Yeah,
I
but
don't know
that's
what
like
personality type is that. Like it's a very like it's almost like what is it? What is that
it's like a
term, huh? Like
hyper manic pixie girl, maybe, or
hyperbolic, right? It's like an exaggeration of,
oh yeah,
it's not even an ESFJ, because actual ESFJs don't even act like that, right? It's like a
it's like
caricature,
it's definitely, yeah, it is
right?
like extreme. Yeah, so in Asian culture, you see that more. And then, yeah, in Western culture, I think it's more about, I mean, it's in every culture, right? Like how you look, you know, like how you come across, like more superficial stuff like that. I think it's everywhere, but I think especially in Western culture, that's more of a thing. And I think it also has been more praised if a woman is more assertive and stuff like that. I think it has shifted.
Okay, that's a
But
relief because I think I'm quite direct, but not to the point of, you know, being too rude either. So I think I'm
yeah,
like more, you know, like that trait is like normal here, so that's good. Like
yeah.
one thing that I don't have
I
to think
think
of.
I think like California seems very ESFP. Would you
I
agree?
know, yeah. I
Yeah.
am crushing on oh my God. I'm like being too direct again. I'm like crushing on guys all the time because I mean I say that as a joke, okay?
Okay.
Joke because I don't know. I think I can make this relate to the video because we talk about dating and how do I relate this to the video? Oh, like the persona and the guy, like, you know, what you want to attract, I guess.
Yeah.
So I know from Socionics that ESFPs do look for introverted intuition, so that's a great thing. However, I think in real life they are too social, so that's a bad thing because
Oh.
um I think like Socionics that obviously it's a theory, right? So it doesn't take into account like real life behaviors because you have mentioned in your previous videos, ESFPs are literally the performers, right? In
Mhm.
the world. So they are very popular and that comes with a lot of other problems.
Yeah,
Like
true. You have to
they
have
have
thick
too
skin.
many
Yeah.
people around them. So like I'm a very easily jealous person. I'm very emotional. So I think that would stress me out.
Yeah,
Like
that's difficult with
it would
ESFP.
really stress me
Yeah.
out. Like I don't think it would be something that I'm okay with long term unless there are some fundamental changes. But yes, Los Angeles very ESFP. It's like I like ESFPs. So I think there's tons of people I'm attracted to here. But when it comes to long term, that's another question altogether.
Hmm. Yeah, true.
So yeah, there's a lot more to consider. Yeah, I don't know if you have thought about like how persona relates to the kind of people you attract, right? Like
Hmm.
um,
Yeah. I mean, also back in the day, several years ago, when I was also new to everything, I also tried to morph my personality to appeal to certain
my God.
types.
That was
Yeah,
me in my early 20s. What a
so I
disaster.
also did that. I also did that, but it never really worked because then you always
Yeah,
have to keep up this
horrible.
act. It just doesn't work, and you cannot be yourself. So yeah. So sorry, what was the question?
No, I'm just wondering,
What
like,
you
you know,
attract?
kind of
Yeah,
the relationship between persona and who you attract. Uh,
yeah. Well, okay. I think your persona does attract other people's personas, probably. It depends. Sometimes, so it can either be other people's persona or their real type or real self, right?
mhm.
So let's say for example, I tried acting like an INTJ or something in order to attract an ISFP or ESFP back in the day, and
How do you do
they
that?
might.
Like, you just don't smile, like, you just
I
are
just
like
try to. I just try
really
to.
serious all the time.
Yeah, be more serious. Try to sound more logical. Mention like deep insights, whatever, like try. um, and it works for a little bit, but then it's like I cannot be my full self. Um, so yeah.
And the ironic thing is that they probably, I mean, I'm not trying to speculate because I don't know this man, but like the ironic thing is that they might have really liked who you actually are more, you know?
It's
Because
yeah,
I don't know, it's like there are many factors beyond socionics, right? That someone is attracted.
yeah. There's several factors. um, I do have the general compatibility advice. But then sometimes, you know, in certain cases, I might say, okay, maybe consider this other type or not. It does depend on the person a little bit and what you're looking for, also in terms of, you know, life goals, lifestyles, and stuff like that.
Yeah, those things are
So
important, very important.
yeah,
Lifestyle compatibility, yes.
yeah. I mean, I personally am still in the boat of personality compatibility should still play a major role,
Yeah,
because if you don't consider that, oftentimes what happens is then I think it's quite common then the scenario where a couple gets married, has children, and then once the children are old enough, they divorce because there was not really a personality match. It was mostly about, okay, we're just going to focus on having kids. I see that mostly with older couples, like, you know, it seems quite common. But so I don't know. It depends. But at the same time, there's also couples who don't have the quote unquote ideal personality match, but they make it work.
yeah, yeah.
It depends
I
really
think
on the situation.
it's a complicated thing, right? Like there are some types that are supposedly your match, but then there are real life factors that maybe make them a poor match. For
Right.
example, again, talking about the whole like player factor, like a lot of ESTPs are players, and I'm not trying to bash them, but like I mean,
Yeah, a lot of ESTP, ESFP men, especially when they're younger and more immature, but I guess even the
yeah,
older ones, it depends, of course, what their health level is. But on average, yeah, they
tragic.
can be a little, yeah, a bit too going everywhere. I guess that's the tricky part that's often ignored. Like you can have suitable personality types, but if the person is too unhealthy to insert toxic traits,
Yes,
then
maturity level, yeah.
yeah, it just
Emotional
doesn't work.
maturity, that's number one. I think for me now it's like emotional maturity number one, type number two, maybe. I don't know. And lifestyle, I mean,
Yeah,
a lot of things combined. It's a lot of factors. Yeah. I mean, I definitely, there are some types that I just blacklist because I know it will never work. Like
right.
me and SJ's blacklisted, me and EXTJ's blacklisted. Yeah. That's,
Okay.
I mean, those are like, I know it definitely, I mean, I'm not even attracted to them most of the time. So that's not even an issue to begin with. So
Yeah. All right. So I guess like the last point, how can we tap more into embracing our true selves, right? Especially in dating.
that
It
is
can
a
be
great
difficult.
question. I should probably learn something.
Yeah.
How would you say so? Like, what are some of your advice since you have been successful?
Okay. Well, first to refer to Freud, I think he did mention awareness as a key thing. Obviously, it starts with awareness. So you have to become aware that you are operating from the persona, from the superego. Like some easy questions. Okay, like how much do you act like what your parents or your culture expect of you? How much do you try to emulate that, especially when it comes to dating?
I don't
Or
know. Might be some are very subconscious, so I need to dig up some stuff.
yeah. Also, according to Freud, the superego overlaps a little bit with the unconscious. So it has like some unconscious quality to it. So it can be sometimes hard to know exactly what it is. So yeah, just look at your own patterns, I would say. And also, if you feel like my experience was, I would just end up feeling kind of unfulfilled, or like I was mm, feeling restricted. Or what you said earlier, you would feel like you are omitting certain things, right? Like you would just
Yeah,
not
I
share
try not
something.
to omit now. I would also say like the whole thing about what you are afraid of doing, sometimes you have to do it. And it's like, for example, like I grew up hearing like, oh, you know, men will be intimidated if you are like this, that. And if that's like truly a part of me, then I have to show it, right? It's like I don't want to attract the wrong man because if I don't show it, then next time they are intimidated, then it's like a wrong match, right?
Yeah, that's actually a good point. Yeah,
So the
that's a really
intelligence
good
thing, because
point.
I keep growing up with this SFJ mentality, like, oh, women cannot be, oh my God. Sorry, I'm like
They
so
cannot be
upset.
smart.
like
Or
women cannot showcase that they are intelligent, and I'm like, you know
oh
what? I'm gonna showcase that I'm intelligent 24/7.
yeah.
You know why? Because I want men who are attracted to that. I literally, my ideal man has to be attracted to my intelligence. It is a deal breaker if they're not, for me
Yeah.
at least. Because that's us, right? Me and you, like we are both intelligent
We're
people.
smart, yay. Yeah.
Like, if
But
they're
yeah,
not
it's
attracted to
true.
that, then what are they attracted to? Only my looks?
Yeah.
No, that's not acceptable. Yeah.
Yeah.
So like they have to be. So I am showcasing it 24/7 because I want the right guys to come to me. I don't want the ones who are intimidated by intelligence. Like they can just go and find their chef or maid or whatever, you know? Yeah, like you don't want to over identify, like you said, right, with any part of yourself, but you want to showcase yourself like in a more like a holistic way. Like, okay, this is who
Yeah.
I am. It
Right.
is my work is a part of me, right? I mean, my career or my dreams or whatever. For me, it's like more of a I see it as like my dreams are a huge part of me. Because it is my purpose role, like you mentioned in your other videos, right? But obviously I have other aspects of me that is really fun too. And so that's tricky, right? Like just being everything, showcasing different aspects of yourself.
Yeah. It's like a bit of a slow drip, I guess, across dates. Like I still think
Mhm.
you don't wanna share so that I mean, like we said, don't dump everything on someone. Like don't like, oh, this is everything and overwhelm them. You kind of it's like trying to warm them up over some amount of time.
Yeah.
But
But I
yeah,
guess if you're online, then they will just see it right away, right? Like, for
yeah, then
example,
okay,
if someone has a massive YouTube channel, I'm just saying, example, right?
yeah,
If someone has like a channel with 1 million subscribers that everybody probably knows. So,
yeah, then you cannot really hide it. I guess it's a problem for celebrities, right? It's like
yeah.
sometimes they
But I
don't
guess it's
know
a good
they
thing you just filter out people who are, but then there are people who obviously have other purpose, right? They might approach you because you're a celebrity and
yeah.
complicate stuff. Yeah.
But for that thing, then you just need to have good boundaries, and you have to discern people more, and you have, yeah, to be more selective. It's another challenge, but yeah, at the same time, you shouldn't have to diminish yourself just
Mm-hmm.
so other people don't feel too insecure. It's once again, it's a delicate balance. But
Exactly. Yeah. It's like a part
yeah,
of you, a very significant part of you. Um, and then it's also not everything that you are.
right.
So yeah, I mean, I've seen people like I've seen people celebrate their spouse's accomplishments all the time. So I think it's not an issue. Like I'm just speaking to the women out there who think that they,
Mhm.
have to do the hiding thing. Like I
Yeah.
think the hiding thing is like it will only attract guys who are actually insecure. So then it's like it backfires.
Yeah, that's also a good point. Yeah, right. It will like you if you operate from the insecurity, it will attract the insecurity. Basically, it's almost like
Exactly,
a
yeah.
projection.
And then once the guy finds out, he'll be like, tone it
This is not what I
down, like
wanted.
don't go to
Yeah,
events, and then you're
yeah,
screwed.
yeah. So yeah, it's tricky, for sure. But yeah, you need to shed. I was also took made a note to shed those beliefs like what you mentioned, these negative beliefs about, okay, if I'm going to be like this, no one is going to want me, etc., etc. Kind
Mhm.
of you have to
That's
kind of get
rough.
over it. Yeah, it's also just a gradual thing. I always say, like, if people try to change their beliefs, look for examples that confirm that other belief, right? So like you said, you see people who praise their spouses, or like you have to look for these other examples, or there are
I
successful
kept
women
looking.
who
I can tell you right away because I tried to look and I found. So it's like every time I think about it, the insecurity, I'm like, look at George Clooney and his wife. Yeah, and I think also like I think I have that problem where, when you try to be palatable, is that the word? Like you try
yeah,
to like be too palatable to the masses, that's when you lose your magnetism, right? It's like I used to do
True.
this thing. Remember the cooking thing
Mm.
where some Asian guys, sorry, but like I have to shout, not shout, like
Okay.
some Asian guys would like ask me on the first date, like, do you cook? And sometimes I would give them a very palatable answer because, you know, I know
Mm.
culturally they are expecting women to like cook for them. Not all of them, but some of them, right? And I would give them like a very like palatable answer, like, oh yeah, I do, you know, I know how to cook this. Like simple. I told them like simple stuff, right? Nothing complicated.
Yeah.
I only save time, which is true. I mean, I don't like cooking. I mean, it's only one person. If I cook like for a table of people, there's no one that I can cook for. So it's usually like simple stuff that I cook, and it tastes good, right? But I just don't like to be defined by that. But I think like now looking back, I don't need to like relate to the masses. Like, you know, I
Mm.
can literally tell them I don't cook very often, and that's it.
Yeah, like I
Yeah, I
would
don't
just
have
say
to
it.
like tell them,
I
oh, actually it tastes really good, which I know it is because I have a very high standard for myself because I care about the taste of my own food. But it's like they don't need to know that because I don't like, first of all, I don't like that question on a first date. I don't like guys trying to like find out if I will cook for them. I just I don't like that, right? So for me now, it's like I don't even want to appeal to that question because if I do, then it will set a precedent where they think I'm going to cook for them, you know?
yeah, they're gonna expect it, right?
Yes.
Yeah, so I never said I I can cook. I was always
I think it's
like,
better to just be like, I don't cook very often. I mean, it tastes good for myself, but you know,
yeah,
I
like,
don't enjoy
yeah,
doing that. Like, I mean, I might do that if I really like someone, but that has to be coming from myself, you know? It cannot be like, oh, because they asked me to, or they have this expectation of like, I want my wife to be a good cook. Like, if
yeah,
they are specifically looking at that as a primary dating, you know, attraction factor, then I would not want that. Yeah. So I have to filter them out like early on.
yeah. I mean, the good thing is, um, I mean, I guess not everyone has the luxury, but if you have the luxury of being able to, you know, move somewhere else. I'm not saying you, but I'm saying people in general, right? Like back in the day, people were stuck in their culture, and it was probably very difficult to find people who differed from the norm in a sense,
That's very
right?
sad.
Like,
I
so
weep
if you
for
are
them
stuck in
actually.
that, yeah, then that sucks. But nowadays, I think also with apps, dating apps, or online world, etc., like it's much easier to find someone who might not just appeal to the masses or the norm as much. So for this example, right, like it's going to be much easier nowadays to find a guy who doesn't care much about the cooking aspect, right? Like,
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I also
so
took notes of people I remember who are, you know, the husband cooks, right? The wife doesn't even cook or
right,
doesn't like
so
cooking that much or
yeah, so
doesn't
it's
cook
good
as
to find that.
often or whatever.
Yeah, like to find these examples to realize, okay, it can be different. At the same time, um, I think there are still some limits. The more you stray away from certain, I guess, societal things, the smaller your dating pool is going to be. But the plus side can be it's going to be targeted more, like it's going to be more specific
Exactly,
to you.
yeah. I
So
think
you kind
targeted
of,
is good, yeah.
any last closing thoughts?
So I guess like this is more like my question for you since you have more
Hmm.
success in this area. Like, how would you say if you find yourself like constantly attracted to incompatible imago, which you know you have mentioned on your channel before, like what would you say to that? Like, do we just present ourselves differently or um
Um, I mean, like I usually say, you have to find a way to find the kind of guy who's as close to the imago as possible whilst having compatible traits. And this
yeah,
is very individualistic. I cannot I cannot now
exactly.
give you
That's true.
the exact thing, but it's certain traits you have to pick out. It can be, okay, if your imago looks a certain way, but then they're going to have a certain personality type. I think this is like one of the easiest way to do it, to be honest. I mean, but it depends really on the person. You just want to make sure you're very aware of it. The thing is, especially if you do it alone, there are going to be a lot of things you're going to be unaware of, or you're going to find out later. I was quite aware of it, but even then I still found out some stuff later about my imago. So it's, you probably will never fully know everything, but just try to be as observant as possible of your dating patterns, your attraction patterns, and then seeing, okay, what are the things I am attracted to? What are the aspects that are more compatible? And then finding a person who is like, has
an overlap, like a Venn diagram,
overlap, right? Yeah, like a Venn diagram. Right. So that's what you're looking. That's what you have to look for, because I think most people just operate based on imago, to be honest, or like the majority being the imago and then a bit of the compatibility. I kind of want to have like a good mix.
Yes.
So you're still attracted, but you still have more compatibility. And just compatibility doesn't work either, because then it's not attracted.
Yeah,
then it's like, yeah.
I mean, there's a lot of real life factors too. Yeah.
Yeah. So
was your imago like SFP also? I'm just curious because I think I saw a video about that like many years ago.
Did I talk about it? I don't know. Yeah, my imago. I think,
is that a pattern now? Like just like the ESFP, just being.
Yeah, I think also I also had
ESFP, but
I think I also had ESFP, a bit of ISFP maybe. Yeah.
I mean, ESFP is still more compatible than ISFP, I would say. Like,
yeah,
just judging from
it's better.
Other aspects.
Yeah, I think it was like type 3. Honestly, I think it was type 3 because my dad is type 3. That's often how it is, unfortunately. It's often related to your parents or to your upbringing. I mean, I think it's not always bad. It's only really bad if your persona is too far away from your true self.
Exactly, that's true. Yeah, I mean, like working out, looking good, that should be a great thing for everybody in general, right?
There's some universal things that are attractive, right? So, yeah, that's the socialization part. We talked about that more in the other video. Certain things, right? Like some things are universal. So also people often say hygiene.
Yeah, of course, right?
Like, you know, like some things are kind of universal. So, yeah. But yeah, okay. I guess, what can we say at the end? Like I said before, for people watching, you should check whether you feel like you're playing a role, whether you feel like you cannot be your true self, you are omitting or hiding too many things. And I guess as a side note, because we did mention the trauma dumping and stuff, and then people are going to be like, yeah, but this is who I am, etc. Honestly, you should go to therapy if that's what you are, because
severe,
like if you actually have issues, if you have like serious issues, then you need to work on them. And the problem is people often conflate having issues with that's who they are, and that's just not the case.
That's like, also not right. Yeah.
So
I do go to therapy just in case people don't know, but you know, I mean, I don't dump everything out there. I just showcase the superficial. I mean, like
I just mean certain people. I can already like imagine like there are people out there who will say, yeah, this happened to me, and I'm not saying you have
defining to themselves too much by what happened to
them. Don't define yourself by it too much. You need to reach some level of understanding and being able to like not just cope, I guess, but to be able still to thrive, or at least handle it. Like you don't have to be like perfect and I'm over everything, but you have to be at a level where you're handling it properly, like an adult. Like that's just how the world is. I guess it's a harsh truth, but most people are not gonna respect it if you are just a mess, or they feel like I mean, I don't know, it's kind of controversial, but if you're too much of a mess, then either you're going to attract another mess and then it's a big mess together, or the people are just going to feel like, okay, why should I be in a relationship with a mess, right? Like it would just drag me down, would just make nothing better in my life. So really, you kind of have to be also kind of honest with yourself. If that's the case, you have to work on it. And at the very least, if you work on it, you can attract someone who might also be working on their own stuff. And then
I think as long as you have accountability, that's good. It's like
right.
everybody's sort of a mess, you know, in their own way.
No
but
one
then
is
as long as
perfect,
you're accountable, like you don't need to be perfectionist, but then you have to like take accountability. You have to like do something about it, like, you know, get some coaching, therapy, whatever, like be working towards something. Then it will be great, because I think everybody's sort of like, you know, having their own whatever issues. But as long as you're doing something and about it, and like you're not like offloading it to somebody else entirely, then, you know, it's always a good place.
Yeah, true. Yeah, and then the last thing you can think about, I mean, the people watching, if you're playing a role, think like really analyze how much it harms you and how much it serves you, because having a persona, like we said, you cannot fully get rid of it. You also should not fully get rid of it. It's not you cannot do it, and you should not try to do it, but you should be able to have enough distance from it, and maybe only use it when like absolutely necessary, just to be socialized, and then see, okay, in what areas does it harm me. And in dating, especially the closer you get to somebody, often it becomes more and more harmful if you're too caught up in it.
Yes, I think dating is the part where you want to operate with less persona, like as less minimum as possible in the long run. Like in the long run, right? We've been talking about finding a husband or a wife, like better to not have a persona that's too far from you, because it's a lifelong thing. So the impact is huge.
Yeah, with like wider social situations, it's okay. But even then, I would put like an asterisk there, because if it's also way too far from your true self, you know, the person who might be your match, you know, they might be somewhere there, and then they might think, oh, this is not for me, or you might attract the wrong people. So you can't,
like if you are
even
in
in social
wrong friend
situations,
group, right?
yeah, you have to be really kind of thinking about this. How far does it harm or serve you? And then the last thing, just try to pick a trait that you might want to work on or modify to either be more open about it or to work on it. So whatever it is, it really depends on the person. Like, okay, if you realize, okay, this is my persona, this is my role, how can I be more myself, or how can I perhaps work on it, like, you know, with a therapist or coach or something.
Great points. I have to think about it. Many things to think about.
Okay. All right. Okay. Yeah. Thank you for joining me. Make sure to also check out Tori's channel. And yeah, that's about it. Have a good day. Bye.
All right. Bye.